This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Happy holidays, everyone, and I hope it's going just the way you like it to. Though, what I'm looking at today is the second season of Star Trek Discovery, and I like this second season. It's a little more boring than the first season, but that's okay. Why is that okay? Because it's more like Star Trek. And if you've seen the original series at all, it had its highs, to be sure. It also had its lows. There were some boring-ass episodes of Star Trek. And in the second season of Discovery, there's some not-so-great episodes. But that's okay. That's perfect. Because it feels more like Star Trek should feel. And that's, for me, is just awesome. It kind of loses its way in the last few episodes, where it starts to look like Star Wars. And that's a little problematic, because if you've seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine and the Dominion War saga in particular, you know you can have massive starship battles and not have it feel like Star Wars. Unfortunately, this felt like Star Wars. And as I said, though, what's most important is that this feels like Star Trek. And I should also mention, I don't buy the two Star Trek things in the sense of, well, there's a Prime timeline and there's a Kelvin timeline. Bullshit. There is Star Trek and there is not Star Trek. The only reason those two timelines exist is because, as I mentioned in my first video, it's just corporate nonsense and rights issues. That's all. There's no reason for there to be a Kelvin timeline. And for my money, it doesn't exist. I may see movies involving the Kelvin timeline, but once again, I don't believe in that. I think it's dumb, and I think it's corporate bullshit we shouldn't have to be put through. So there is no, by my reckoning, Kelvin timeline. There is Star Trek. First season of Star Trek Discovery was not Star Trek. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. It wasn't Star Trek. The second season of Star Trek Discovery is more Star Trek-like. It's not quite there yet, but it's pretty damn close. And that, for me, was awesome to see. Season 2 revolves around one storyline, essentially the Red Angel. And it's divided up into little parts, all relating to the whole, yet individual as well. And that's kind of nice to see. In fact, I would have liked to have seen more episodes of Discovery less dependent upon the overall storyline. It's not something that the series did much at all. And it seems to be the primary motivator for both seasons of Star Trek Discovery. One overwhelming threat and just breaking it into pieces. That's okay, but with past Star Trek series, you just have independent stories. They don't tend to be one overarching theme for a season. And I want to see it break out of that, though I like the connectivity. This is why I'm a fan of the MCU. I like things that mesh, that work well together. And Discovery works well. Well, I should say Discovery, the second season, works really well. And I have to say, a lot of the credit for the feel of season 2 being more Star Trek goes to Anson Mount, whose Pike is wonderful because he feels like Star Trek. I think he's actually very rigid. But Star Trek has always consisted of individuals who are very morally rigid, and how the Prime Directive and this, that, and the other meant everything to them. And it's welcome to see someone who is so relatively morally clear on the show. Prior to that, in season 1, there wasn't really anyone. People just did things, and it was all about the spectacle. Conversely, Michelle Yeoh is just remarkable. She is so morally flexible, and she's quite the foil to Pike, because she just will do whatever she needs to do to accomplish a particular goal. I love characters that bring their own moral suasion to the fore and believe what they believe. They're not trying to convince you of their belief system. They are who they are. And if you don't like that, fuck you. They just don't care. And I love that about these characters. Doug Jones, who plays the alien commander, I think his name is pronounced Saru, is just remarkable because first off, the way his mask is constructed, you can barely see his teeth. And I was wondering for a moment, was his dialogue AR in? I don't think it is, but it looks so odd and mildly disconcerting, frankly. But it's a fascinating look for an alien. Great character. Discovery just works till the end, where Discovery starts to feel way too much like Star Wars. As I mentioned earlier, you can do space battles in Star Trek, but it's not about fighter craft. Star Trek was never about fighter craft. It was more about large capital ships, well, Enterprise, large ships, doing battle with each other. And you could have kept that dynamic if you had, I don't know, some innovative writing, which, not that was bad, I'm not saying it was bad, but it was not typical for this series, not terribly respectful of Star Trek in general. With the ending of season 2, Discovery follows the Red Angel through a wormhole, and they're in a new universe. This bothers me, if only because it feels like the writers are looking for a way to have their cake and eat it too. Discovery, at least with the first season, never felt like a Star Trek series at all. So to have them in another universe, does that mean they're going to do what they... Well, actually, I'm not even sure it's another universe. I know it's in the future, but it may not be another universe. In any case, does that mean... Yeah, because the spore drive was used to time travel, if I recall. So does that mean that Discovery is going to just pretty much be whatever it is? I don't care about what it is, frankly. I want more Star Trek. And in fact, I would love to see a Star Trek series with Anson Mount as Pike, with the Enterprise, with Anson Mount as Pike, Michelle Yeoh as her, Section 6, Section 3, the covert part of Starfleet, just dueling with each other now and again, helping each other at other times. I like this Star Trek without Discovery. In any case, check out Star Trek Discovery Season 2. It is more like Star Trek. And the weirdest thing, at least for me, is that should be fairly obvious, but it wasn't. But that's okay. It's awesome, really good, a little slower paced than Season 1, as it should be. The Star Trek was never really about the space battles and stuff like that. But on the whole, it's not quite Star Trek yet, but it's like, I'd say it's 70% there. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Peace.